The phone slipped from my hand, clattering against the hardwood floor with a crack that echoed like a gunshot in the silent house. My chest tightened as the screen's glow illuminated a single message, timestamp 2:17 a.m. Can't stop thinking about last night. Same time tomorrow. The sender's name, Chris, burned into my retinas, a name I didn't know, yet it carried the weight of 1,000 unspoken truths. My wife, Lena, slept upstairs, her soft breaths a cruel counterpoint to the storm raging in my skull. I stood frozen in our dimly lit kitchen, the hum of the fridge mocking my unraveling world. How had I missed this? How had we come to this? The day had started innocently enough. Lena had kissed me goodbye that morning, her lips brushing mine with a distracted warmth as she rushed out for her work dinner. Her perfume, jasmine and something sharper, lingered in the air as I tidied the breakfast dishes, the clink of porcelain grounding me in routine. She'd been distant lately, her smiles tight, her eyes darting to her phone more than usual. I'd chalked it up to stress. Her new promotion at the law firm demanded late nights, client schmoozing, and endless emails. Don't expect priority treatment, she'd teased last week, her voice light but edged with something I couldn't place. I'd laughed it off, assuming it was her way of warning me about her packed schedule. Now, that phrase clawed at me, a taunt I hadn't understood until this moment. I retrieved the phone, my hands trembling as I reread the message. My thumb hovered over the screen, torn between scrolling for more and smashing the device to pieces. The house felt too big, its shadows too deep, as if the walls themselves were holding secrets. I climbed the stairs, each creak underfoot amplifying the dread pooling in my gut. Lena's phone lay on her nightstand, its lock screen a photo of us at last year's anniversary. Her head on my shoulder, my grin wide and clueless. I typed in her passcode, our wedding date, and the screen unlocked with a soft click. My heart pounded as I opened her messages, the blue light casting harsh shadows across my face. There were dozens of texts from Chris. Some were mundane. Lunch at 1. But others were daggers. Miss you already. Last night was everything. My stomach churned as I scrolled, each word a fresh wound. A photo loaded slowly. Lena, laughing in a dimly lit bar, her hand on a man's arm. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with a smirk that screamed confidence. I didn't know him, but I hated him. Worse, I hated how I'd ignored the signs. The late nights, the locked phone, the way she'd started wearing that red dress I loved, but never for me. I sank onto the edge of the bed, the mattress dipping under my weight. Lena stirred, her dark hair splayed across the pillow, her face serene in sleep. How could she look so peaceful while my world collapsed? Part of me wanted to shake her awake, demand answers, scream until the truth spilled out. But another part, a weaker, more desperate part, whispered that maybe I'd misunderstood. Maybe Chris was just a friend, a colleague. Maybe I was the paranoid one, twisting innocent moments into betrayal. I clung to that hope, fragile as it was, because the alternative was unbearable. The next morning, I played the part of the oblivious husband. I made coffee, the gurgle of the machine filling the tense silence as Lena shuffled into the kitchen, her eyes heavy with sleep. "Morning," she mumbled, brushing past me to grab a mug. Her fingers grazed mine, and I flinched, the contact sparking a mix of longing and revulsion. "You okay?" she asked, her brow furrowing. I forced a smile, my voice steady despite the chaos inside. "Just tired. Long night." She nodded, distracted, already checking her phone. I watched her thumbs move, each tap a potential lie, and my resolve hardened. I needed proof, not just fragments of doubt. That evening, she announced another work thing. I nodded, my face a mask of calm as I suggested she take my car. Easier to track with the GPS app we shared. She hesitated, her eyes flickering with something, guilt? Suspicion? Before agreeing. As her taillights faded down the driveway, I opened the app, the blinking dot of her location searing into my mind. She wasn't headed downtown to the firm's usual haunts. The dot veered toward a residential area, a quiet suburb I'd never visited. My pulse raced as I grabbed my keys, the cold metal biting into my palm. The drive was a blur, rain streaking across the windshield, wipers thumping in time with my heart. The GPS led me to a brick townhouse, its windows glowing warmly against the storm. Lena's car, my car, sat in the driveway, parked beside a sleek black sedan. I cut the engine and sat there, rain hammering the roof, my breath fogging the glass. Every instinct screamed to barge in, to catch her in the act, but fear glued me to the seat. What if I was wrong? What if I wasn't? I don't know how long I sat there before the front door opened. Lena stepped out, her laughter cutting through the rain as she leaned into a man, Chris, I assumed, his arms slung casually around her waist. They paused under the porch light, her face tilted up to his, and then they kissed. It wasn't a peck, not a friendly goodbye. It was hungry, intimate, the kind of kiss that carried history. My vision blurred. Not from the rain, but from the tears I hadn't realized were falling. I gripped the steering wheel, knuckles white, as the world tilted. Back home I waited. The house was too quiet, the ticking clock a cruel reminder of time slipping away. When Lena walked in, her hair damp and her cheeks flushed, I was sitting at the kitchen table, her phone in my hand. She froze, her smile faltering. "What's wrong?" she asked, her voice too high, too brittle. "Who's Chris?" I said, my words sharp enough to cut. Her face crumpled, but only for a moment before she straightened, defiance flashing in her eyes. "He's a colleague," she said, but the lie was flimsy, unraveling under my stare. I held up her phone, the damning message still glowing on the screen. She opened her mouth, then closed it, her shoulders sagging. "It wasn't supposed to happen," she whispered, tears welling. "It was just, I don't know, a mistake. I still love you." Her words were a lifeline, but they felt hollow. I wanted to believe her, to rewind to when her love was my anchor. But the truth was a blade, and it had already cut too deep. "A mistake?" I echoed, my voice rising. "You've been lying for months. You prioritized him." She flinched, and in that moment, I saw the woman I'd married, flawed, human, caught in her own web of choices. But I also saw the stranger she'd become, someone who'd chosen to fracture us. "I'm sorry," she sobbed, reaching for me. But I stepped back, the space between us a chasm. The next morning, I packed a bag. Not because I wanted to leave, but because staying felt like surrendering. As I zipped it shut, Lena stood in the doorway, her face a map of regret. "Where are you going?" she asked, her voice small. "Away," I said, my throat tight. "I need to figure out if I can still trust you. Or myself." As I drove into the dawn, the road stretching endlessly before me, I realized the betrayal wasn't just hers. I'd betrayed myself, ignoring the signs, clinging to a love that had already slipped through my fingers. The rearview mirror showed our house fading, and with it, the life I thought I knew.